Welcome everybody to the Sunset Flip Wrestling Podcast, your home for all wrestling, everything wrestling. What's up, fellas? What's up, guys? Damn,
What's
both
going
y'all
on?
looking
It's
old
been
right
a
now.
while.
It's been a long time, huh?
It's been a while, but you know what? First episode of 2024. We're
We
back
back,
at it.
baby.
We
That's
definitely are.
better than ever at that.
You know, of course.
How you doing? Everything good?
We slowly get better. You know what I'm saying?
Every day we better. Even when we're not on, we're better.
Of course.
Everything good? How is it going? Well,
Everything good. Holidays good. Family good. That's what's most important.
Yep,
good.
exactly.
Good. So as long as I hear that, I know we all good to go. So that being said, let's get right into it. The Rumble is next week, right? This is it, baby. The Royal Rumble is here. Let's get
It's
right into
right
this,
around the
break this shit
corner.
down.
It creeped up on us. You know, we talked about the Rumble for like months, and it's finally here. I mean, what, 1 week away? So,
Yeah.
we'll talk about the Rumble in just a sec. But we're going to talk about the major news coming from yesterday, reported by Sean Ross Sapp, and that's Seth Rollins' injury, in which he suffered a torn MCL and a partially torn meniscus.
Yeah. Another layer on top of the injury riddled career of Seth Rollins, unfortunately. It just sucks. Like, especially meniscus. Like torn MCL, that's one thing, but meniscus, that gets tricky after a while.
Yeah, no, and to be honest with you, when you saw that match as Seth Rollins picked up the victory over Jinder Mahal, you kind of saw like his face reaction, and it kind of looked disappointed. And I was watching Raw with my dad, and I was just like, "Damn, he looks like mad. He looks like like something's not right."
Like something actually happened.
Right.
Right.
And then surely enough, we get news that, he had to be helped to the back. And then, everybody's, hoping, it's not serious. And then boom, we get hit news with, it's a torn MCL and a torn meniscus. But now I mean, you've had
Several.
several
Several at that. I'm at peace
several
knowing that I'm a walking stretcher at this point.
right. With WrestleMania being what 2-3 months away, can he recover from a torn MCL?
Yes, he can.
Okay.
He can. The
The
rumors
meniscus
are.
is the tricky part because if it happened Monday, right? So it happens Monday. If he gets surgery on like Wednesday, Thursday, and he has the 4 to 6 weeks to get back, he's good to go. Because meniscus is it's not more so on what happens after. It's just getting back into things because the whole part of meniscus is all about pressure. So if you put enough pressure on it, you'll mess stuff up. But if you're off of it enough prior to it and you have a good enough rehab, which WWE has done a great job in the past 20 years being better when it comes to sports performance, rehab, and stuff like that, and recovery, more importantly, because we've seen the cases over the past year and a half on all the NXT women who got into powerlifting, and all of them got hurt.
Right.
So they made the adjustments. Seth Rollins is a CrossFit guy. So
Well, they're still getting hurt. So I mean, that's another topic.
injuries are injuries. It's all part of the. It's all part
Now,
of life.
you think with an injury like that, I mean, listen, before he had a torn ACL, now he has a torn MCL and a partially torn meniscus. Like, do
I
you
don't know if it's
think
the same knee. Is it the same knee or is it a different one?
I'm not quite certain.
yeah,
I go if
we're
it's the
not-
same
not
knee,
sure.
then it's like you go as is. If
Right.
if it's the other knee, then he's gonna have to adjust his wrestling style.
So my thing is, they've been saying on multiple outlets. I'm not going to go too long on it. Just I know injuries are part of it and everything, but the rumor is either A, they're going to have him rest all the way until WrestleMania
As he should.
and rehab for the partially torn because he might not need surgery on the partially torn. They said they could just be rehab and rest to see how it is, and they're going to give him surgery for the MCL, and the typical is 4 to 6 weeks, which will put him around the time frame of WrestleMania season
Yeah.
and see how he goes. And he would wrestle very protected match against. Well, obviously we know he'd wrestle CM Punk at the time. A very protected match, which actually might sort of make him and CM Punk sort of like. I know everybody thinks they buried the hatchet, but I'm sure there's probably still some bad blood there. But if CM Punk protects him during the match, I think that'll be more a side of respect for both of them, and I think that'll sort of fix their relationship. So I think there's a little bit more for both to gain. in this type of
Well, that
situation.
depends. It depends if there actually is bad blood, because you wouldn't work with somebody who doesn't who you have like you would have bad blood with. You wouldn't do that. Otherwise, we'd have seen Shawn Michaels versus The Rock years ago. But they hate each other. And it never worked out. So I think that time was done. The idea that Triple H has done a better job than Vince ever did in this short reign so far when it comes to managing talent and personalities. You wouldn't. Nothing was wrong with WWE before Punk got here when Triple H took over, and now you got Punk in, and nothing, and still status quo. You haven't heard any back coming out of WWE. You haven't heard nothing,
Nope.
anything going on. You've heard nothing for it.
I
So
think
clearly,
there's
it's been a
clauses
plus
too.
so far, right?
Right,
But
and
at the same time,
his injury is pretty bad. Let's just put it like that. But let's just hope he's back. Let's hope he's not relinquishing the title on Monday. That's the best. That's
if
the
he
one thing
drops,
I
he
want.
can get it back before Mania. It's not a big deal because he still has his rematch clause as champ. So you could do that, and
I think they actually dropped the rematch clause no more. There's no such thing as it no more. I think that it's like one of those
whatever
silent
the case
things
may
right
be,
now.
it doesn't. Whatever the case may be, they could do it. They can easily say, "Oh, like I want my rematch." Like it's not that big of a deal. As long as the end
I don't know.
result
There's
is
just a
Punk
lot
versus
of
Rollins, you're good.
there's just a
Right.
lot of questions on booking going forward because it's like, all right, they're absolutely going to rest Rollins from here to WrestleMania. They're not going to take that risk, right? So supposedly the match is Rollins and Punk, right?
Right. Correct.
Again, so him addressing this whole injury on Monday, it's like, all right, then what exactly is going to happen? He's probably going to be like, he's probably going to tease that he's going to drop the title,
And
but
doesn't.
in reality, he's going to keep it, right? Then where does Damian come and play with the Money in the Bank briefcase, right? Where does Drew McIntyre come in? Because if Seth Rollins misses uh, WrestleMania, then you would have to kind of book Drew versus Punk at Mania, or maybe a triple threat match
Which in
between.
hindsight is a possibility because you already teased Punk and McIntyre going at each other 2 weeks ago.
But you
So
also
it is something that's prevalent that can.
Which-
Luckily,
yeah.
it worked out the way it was supposed to when it comes to storyline because you have that rivalry being created as is. So you're
I
fine
think
in that
I think it's the
standpoint. It's
exact
just a matter of
opposite.
situating Priest, which you can do several different ways. We just spoke on him winning. We have him winning and cashing in and losing, cashing in and winning. There's ways to go about it.
I think I don't think he's going to cash in at all right now. I think, like you said, it's going to be a swerve. But I do think we're going to get if Rollins does drop it, it's going to be McIntyre versus Punk for the title. I do think that uh, more than likely Punk will go over. But the question is, would Punk want to lose a match at WrestleMania to Seth Rollins? That's the question. Number one. That's also the interesting thought. And then number two, most importantly, if Damian Priest and McIntyre feud against each other, that's also been teased a lot too because McIntyre has stopped him from cashing in several times. So
Yeah.
we got that layer of two. So Seth Rollins' angle could go many different ways. So there's storylines there. The seeds have been planted. We just got to figure out which way they go.
To be honest with you, like I thought, this was a really bad timing for this injury because I was like, all right, now I'm fully convinced that Damian Priest is not he's gonna have a failed cash in. I think, in my opinion, he's having a
That's
failed.
one option.
But if he was still fully healthy, my I guess if it was up to me to book Damian Priest's cash in is I would have cashed in right at Royal Rumble and then have Priest drop it at the next pay per view.
Which would work out perfectly as well.
Yeah, right. Um, but now it's just a big question mark because it's like, all right, I know they want to protect Punk and Seth Rollins because that's the Mania match, but I just don't know anymore. I really don't.
Yeah,
Trust Triple H. That's all you gotta do.
I'm
We've
gonna
done it
say
both. We've done it since from the beginning, and it's worked out almost flawlessly. So let's just continue forward and see what we can do. From
it'll
this point
it'll be a
forward.
triple threat match if it winds up being for the title. If he relinquishes, it's going to be Damian Priest catching in to be part of that match. It's going to be McIntyre, Punk. I could see going two ways. McIntyre claymoring the shit out of Damian Priest, and then somehow CM Punk catching McIntyre for the go to sleep to win the championship, or McIntyre claymoring the shit out of both of them. I could see it going either way. I don't see
So
Priest. I don't see Priest winning it though. I'll be honest with you.
we
Yeah,
shall see what Triple H wants to do. But most most importantly, we have get well with Seth Rollins. The meniscus you're
Absolutely.
quick with. The MCL is
Absolutely.
actually not as bad as people think it really is. You just have to go and take care of it. Which once you do surgery, you're good to go. If the meniscus does not need surgery, he'll be perfectly fine. If he does need surgery, then the 4 to 6 weeks is probably more so 4 to 6 than anything. So if he gets it now in a month, that puts it in February. If he's cleared to wrestle, all you gotta do is be on a bike. In all seriousness, when it comes to rehabbing with your legs, especially your joints, it's got to be
Right.
you're on a bike. If you can sit, if your lungs can go, you don't blow out during a match. Is what all the old school guys say. You don't burn out. He'll be fine for Mania.
Yeah. Continuing on the injury trend, uh, Cora Jade. So Cora Jade suffered a torn ACL at a Florida house show last Friday, which again comes in a really really bad timing because she just recently came back and all the momentum was on her side.
She was gone for 4 or 5 months previously, right?
I'm sorry.
She was gone for 4 or 5 months previously
Yeah,
because
yeah,
of
she was out for quite a few months, and then you know it kind of looked like she was probably going to be the next one up to probably challenge Lyra.
yeah.
Now plans changed, and she's probably going to be out for close to a year. And I mean, it sucks. Like the only bright spot in this situation, and I don't mean bright spot for her injury is that she's just 22 years old, so she still has
Right.
a lot of time. She's still very young, very talented. But it's just unfortunate that it comes again, just like Seth Rollins, at a really bad time
Yeah.
where she's back after all these months, and again, all the momentum is on her side, and again, suffers a gruesome injury like this. So
Right.
Unfortunately
Exactly.
for her, it's
it
gonna be
sucks.
she's out for a while. You may see her Survivor Series.
You might see her longer than that. I don't
I,
know.
if she comes back healthy quickly
Yeah.
with the right work being done, she'll be back by Survivor Series. If not, then
Sure.
next Royal Rumble.
Yeah,
It's gonna be a
Yeah.
year. She'll be back in 8 to 10 months, or take the full year.
yeah. Who knows? Let's move on to Royal Rumble picks and surprises. Let's start on the men's side, right? Who do you guys have as the winner of the 2024 Royal Rumble?
I got Punk. I'm still going with Punk's run still going through.
CM Punk. I'm not going to disagree. That's been the plan. I
Yeah,
think it's going to be teased with Cody probably being at the end with him, but at the end, because obviously they had that confrontation, Punk and Cody. But I see it being CM Punk. I don't see anybody else.
Yeah, I'm with you. And the interesting question would have been if CM Punk never returned to WWE, who would have won the Royal Rumble, right?
Cody.
Cody
Gunther.
probably.
Gunther.
I don't know. I think Gunther, he's being saved for a much bigger. I'm not going to say bigger match, but we'll talk about
Depending
Gunther
on
in a
what happens
second.
after, yes, it could be.
I'm going with you. I'm going with the general consensus here. I'm going with Punk too. It just makes too
Yeah.
much sense. That
So not to cut you off, so not too long ago, I was going through TikTok, just browsing around, right? I follow a couple of wrestling accounts there, and someone showed the quote unquote script, if one may see, of, and I'll heavy emphasize script on what may or may not go down for the Rumble.
Right.
So you're gonna have Jay and Solo kicking off the men's Rumble. How do we feel about that?
it makes a lot of sense.
I think honestly it should be really Jay and Jimmy. That would be
No, no.
even better.
I mean, if that's the actual script, I like it because then later on, Jimmy can come into the match and then just throw Jay out, which sets their one-on-one match for WrestleMania. I
True.
mean, those scenes have been planned for months now. So
Or
There's
you
a
could get
lot
a
of time
or you
to
could get a tease of their potential match too. You never know.
yeah, of
I mean,
course.
it could go both ways. And then
So we're only
Solo
gonna
being number three
have.
would be torn. Remember that because Solo is their younger brother, so that would be the interesting dynamic there.
I
Oh,
mean,
having
listen,
him gonna have him being the wrinkle in between.
Jimmy has gotten a little goofier as of late, so we could see a situation where like Jay throws out Jimmy, and then that's where like Jimmy wants to retaliate or wants his revenge, and then obviously
Right,
So
right.
sets up.
following both your comments, apparently Jimmy's coming in at 27. So you're giving Jay a great run
Of
if that's
course,
the case.
I mean Jay would be the Iron Man, and usually whoever's number one, they're usually in for a good amount of time.
At least
So
20, 25 minutes.
So
You're
it
right.
has
yeah,
to it has to be somebody. If you're putting somebody number one, it has to be somebody that you're pushing or somebody you're trying to push and have them make an impression. Especially with 1 and 2. Usually there's a number, I forget what number there's one that's the comedy gimmick, I call it. That
Well,
either
speaking of
they get
comedy
eliminated.
gimmick, Grayson Waller's at 4. Ha ha ha. No, but X Pac is going to be your unbranded superstar coming in. So the 1, 2, 3 kid is going to be making an appearance at the Rumble, apparently.
how many legends do you think? I mean, for the men's side, you'll
If
probably
it
get like
I
two or
say
three.
3. They're saying 1.
I would say like 2 or 3, maybe 2 or 3,
I would
and then
say probably an X Pac would be possible because of the click comp thing with Triple H and that he's been wrestling independently recently and trying to make a comeback. Um, maybe a legend we haven't seen in a long time makes an appearance.
like Ken Shamrock.
Not Beast Boy, the Honky Tonk Man.
Yeah. Just we'll see Henry's doppelganger, Bronson Reed, making an appearance.
So what do you guys? All right. So what do you guys think?
Which actually he does, by the way. Henry makes an appearance at number 14, Bronson Reed.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
But
no.
Soto's like,
No,
well, it is true.
actually, speaking of Bronson Reed, though, that would be a name also to be a lookout for number one as well,
Who,
because who they are trying to push.
by the way, the lone NXT pickup will be Carmelo Hayes at 13.
Well, actually, that might change because the rumor is he's going to sign to SmackDown. So then, if he signs to SmackDown, who do we get debuting at the Rumble or making a Rumble appearance on the men's
Braun
side?
Breaker.
Braun Breaker would
Braun
be a
Breaker.
good choice as well.
Yeah,
He's
Braun Breaker.
he's been due longer than anybody for the past.
I mean, I wouldn't
year and a half.
listen. I wouldn't be surprised if it's not really a surprise because he's worked on the main roster. But what's his name? Baron Corbin. You might get Baron Corbin.
Ugh.
That could work too.
Who knows? Like WWE also likes incorporating their NXT champions. We might see Dragunov, and imagine a moment where Dragunov one-on-one with Gunther.
That's a possibility for the future.
Run it back. So
Don't forget, we also have the Beast Incarnate rumored to come back at Royal Rumble.
yeah, that's going to be another. I guess you could say surprise because we haven't seen Brock in a while. So
And we know,
Cody
and
Rhodes will be in at 10.
we already
The
know
leader of the Judgment Day, R-Truth, will come in at 12. You get a Kofi Kingston appearance at 17, so maybe we get something funny going on, a great spot that Kofi's used to doing.
shout out to WWE for that amazing shirt, the Three Amigos shirt that they have. I'm definitely pre-ordering that shirt. I'm just gonna throw that up.
AJ Styles at 20, Drew at 21, Dragon Lee at 23 would be a nice viewpoint to have. Dom and Rhea Ripley at 24 and 25.
Rhea Ripley entering the Royal Rumble, the men's one.
That would be interesting.
That makes a lot of sense. Trying to protect Dom and whatnot.
I could see a spot though. Sort of, I would call it a comedy spot where
She's dumping Dom. I hope y'all know that. Over the top rope.
She is, but I'm saying there's also gonna be a comedy spot where she's in and she like celebrates and like they did with Nia Jax a couple years ago when Rey Mysterio did the 619.
Could be.
Ziggler did his move and then Randy Orton RKO'd the shit out of her.
So like I said, Jimmy at 27, CM Punk at 28, and the two hottest members of the rosters, LA Knight and Gunther at 29 and 30.
But remember, we're missing Brock from there. The rumor is Brock versus Gunther for Mania for the
Whatever the case may
Intercontinental
be, it
Championship.
doesn't matter. I'm just
Well-
what they say, what the script, as I emphasize, script would be.
Yeah, right.
I'll be honest with you. The whole Gunther versus Brock thing is interesting, but I think I have another option, which I'll mention in a minute. But
Well, that's the one title that Brock doesn't have, so the dynamics work for it too.
yeah. I mean, but that's the thing though. Like, I feel like you put the IC title on Brock, and it's just like I think it's a step down.
Brock has to wrestle now.
Not really though. Here's the thing though. You can't have Brock wrestle. Brock likes to do what works for him. So if Brock is the IC champ, help elevating the hell out of the IC championship. Let's throw that out there. Number one,
But
He's
will
got to
he?
wrestle.
yes, I think he will. If you've seen him on interviews, he said if it works, he's willing to wrestle more and do more for whatever it is. He said he's also willing to put over younger talent, which he's doing now because you see him wrestling Cody in his feud. He put Cody over like no tomorrow. He
I
didn't
mean, he did.
went off script. So Brock is willing to do whatever it is for the best of business. As long as the money pays, Brock will do whatever he needs to do.
The IC belt is a working man's belt, and that's also my favorite belt of all time. So I need if Brock
Right.
gets the belt, I need to see him working at least 4 times a week.
And I will say this: if Brock does beat Gunther, which I could see happening, but realistically, I'm going to say this: I don't see it happening. I see Gunther retaining and still continuing his long reign. I think this is also be a stepping stone that Gunther is ready for the world title scene.
I'm telling
So
y'all now.
I think Gunther has.
Chad Gable.
Yeah, Gunther has been ready, but there's a couple of people where I can see like, all right, you know what, they can have a shot at taking the title off Gunther.
Night after Mania is going to be Chad Gable.
Well, Chad Gable already had like a crack at it like 2 or 3 times,
And he has the best possible chance.
I don't know. Like I feel like you have to put in Sami Zayn's name in there.
Unless the one name, this is a Royal Rumble surprise, and one of my first men's picks, Big E.
I don't know if he's ready to wrestle yet.
I don't know because I feel like they've been teasing New Day versus Imperium.
Yes, that's the reason why I say Big E. Well, that, and also think about it. Big E had a
career. I'm glad you mentioned him.
Career and life-threatening
injury. Be
injury.
a surprise.
Career and life-threatening injury. Think about it. Maybe Gunther beats Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. Lesnar puts a hell of a match. It winds up being one of the best matches of the night, one of the underrated. Next night, match at the Mania, Gunther's like, nobody can beat me. I just beat the Beast. Out comes Big E, saying, "Oh, I don't have any challenges." Big E comes back, and he beats him the night after WrestleMania. You know how crazy the pop would be the night after Mania if he beats Gunther
as long
reign?
As he's healthy, not healthy to wrestle, healthy in general,
right?
Then that's fine.
Right. That would be amazing.
I don't see nobody beating Gunther for a long time.
So my surprise would be Big E. I'm going to throw Big E.
Okay, cool. For the women's side, who do you guys have as your Royal Rumble 2024 winner?
I got Jade Cargill, even though I got the script that says something way different.
Well,
I got Bayley.
I'm going with him.
You're the other way, yeah.
I'm going with Bayley as well. I mean,
just because of her work ethic and carrying the brand and carrying her everything, I think that's my reason why, and I think she deserves it.
So based upon the script, Bayley enters at 15 and she wins against number 30, Sasha Banks, who's going to show up unbranded.
I don't think she shows up as Sasha Banks. I think she really shows up as a hybrid of her name. I think she's going to do Sasha Monet. I'm going to go with it.
I don't know. To be honest with you, I do have Bayley winning. I feel like it's only a matter of time since till Damage Control fully turns on Bayley, and you have what 4-5 people right now on Damage Control, and then Bayley's off on her own. Bayley's gonna need some backup. Who is that backup? Because as we've seen for the past couple of months, Bayley has screwed a lot of people. But yeah, Bayley makes the most sense to win the Royal Rumble. I think it's her time. I think she has done an exceptionally well job putting talent over, and now it's kind of like, and now it's like her time, her opportunity, again, to just showcase what she can do. So yeah, I mean, listen, who knows? The Mania match could be Io versus Bayley, or it could be a triple threat match between Io, Bayley, and a returning Dakota Kai.
Which could be something as well. They got Becky and Nia Jax at 1 and 2.
I read something that her Dakota Kai's recovery is taking longer than anticipated, and that she's still struggling. So I don't know. Maybe that was one of those.
Yeah, I mean, she has been out for a while. I mean, and to be honest with you, she has been kind of like the voice of the Damage Control. Kind of you've seen some leadership qualities or from Dakota Kai. So maybe she can stick to that while she fully recovers. But I think Bailey makes the most sense. I know you said Jade Cargill. I feel like Jade Cargill is more of a surprise spot. I feel like that's when she will fully debut.
She'll be in at 26. This is what they're saying. So Becky and Nia Jax go 1 and 2. Raquel Rodriguez, who's my personal favorite on the roster right now, number 6. Belair is number 7. Tiffany Stratton will be there at number 9. Deanna Purrazzo shows up at 11.
I
Isla
think
Dawn.
I think we get some. We'll
Well,
probably have a legend. Don't forget.
You could X out Deanna Purrazzo's name from there because she's already signed with AEW.
Oh well.
So then we got probably a legend or two, maybe somebody returning. So
Bailey at 15.
who do you think the surprise would be?
I mean, if we're talking
Cargill,
about
26, and
legends,
Sasha Banks. 29 Liv Morgan, 28 Asuka, and 30 would be Sasha Banks.
So we
I
got
think Liv would be a surprise because we haven't seen her for a while. So Liv would be one. Jade Kill would be another one. Um, Sasha Banks, which we'll talk about in a few minutes, she could potentially be one, but it's like I don't know what to expect from Sasha at this point, or Mercedes Monet.
yeah.
You'll probably see some NXT, maybe
Nikita
Lyra,
Lyons?
Nikita Lyons, Lyra. You'll probably see like two or three.
A returning legend or a legend that hasn't been featured in a long time, maybe.
You might get
Alexa
Trish.
Bliss.
Alexa Bliss would be a good one, but
You know what? I would be one I've been here. One name I've been thinking about, and I saw something recently with Jacqueline.
who knows? I mean, that's why what I like about the Royal Rumble. There's like so many different options, so many different possibilities.
Right.
Whether it's NXT, whether it's a returning legend. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's gonna be good. But yeah, I think I think it's Bailey, Soto agrees, and then B thinks Jade.
Yeah. We move on quickly to All Elite Wrestling real quick.
The land of all elite.
That's right. Where we have the New Look Bucks, who are set to be Sting's final opponents. Now, I kind of want to, know what your reaction to that is, because for me, it's like I really wished it was Darby Allin versus Sting, but supposedly that wasn't in the cards. And now, Sting and Darby have sights set on the, tag team champions, the AEW tag team champions, which are held by Big Bill and Ricky Starks. So how do you guys see this being played out?
Probably it's going to be a championship match. It'll be converted to a championship match where Sting gets a run with a belt before he retires, and then they lose the belt in his final match. I could see it. I know it's crazy to say, oh my God, Sting is going to lose his final match in AEW. But I think Sting is at a point in his career, he's not really trying to elevate himself. He's going to elevate others. And it sounds crazy me saying that because we all know how his WWE run ran, and he lost pretty much everything, and include at the end as well. And it's like, oh my God, he's going to lose again. But I see him getting the belt, holding it for a bit, and then losing it to the New Look Bucks. Honestly, I'm gonna call them the New Look Bucks. We know they're young, but I'm gonna call them the New Look Bucks. I'm gonna go with the name that they trending with.
Not a fan of none of it. I want Darby Allin to retire Sting.
Yeah, I'm with you there, B. I get what they're doing, but these new. All right, first of all, heel Bucks are better than face Bucks.
100%.
100%, right?
Yeah.
So in order for these, new look young Bucks to generate heat, is to do what many people don't think will happen, and that's Sting to suffer his first and only loss in his final match, right? So with Sting and Darby being, having their eyes set on the tag team champions, I'm with you, Henry. I think
I don't want to cut you. I don't want to cut you off, by the way, but we have a lot of comments going on Instagram. I just want to shout out to everybody that's tuning in. Thank you for tuning in and commenting on our podcast.
Shout
we do
out
appreciate
to IG,
it.
baby.
Thank you. But yeah, I just feel like with these new young Bucks, again, you need to generate heat, and what a better way to just beat Sting in his final match. I mean, listen, it's only a matter of time, right? So I do think Sting and Darby somehow win the tag team championships, and then the Young Bucks just kind of like take the take the championship back at Revolution.
Right. Right. I mean, yeah. I mean, but in a way, Sting is an icon in the wrestling industry, a legend. I mean, I know he probably doesn't want the belt, but I'm sure if he's offered it, he's not gonna turn it down. It
Sting
won't
is the
be it
greatest
won't be
thing
it,
left in wrestling
it won't be a long
nowadays.
reign. We know it won't be a long reign. I know a lot of fans wanted to see Darby Allin versus Sting, and I get it. But Sting's at a point where he's older than a lot of wrestlers now. You got to protect him the best you can. So the tag team match is the best way to do it.
It's
So
his last match. Let him
I
go out
understand
the
what
way
you
he
mean.
wants to. And
I mean, a major
hopefully that's what he
swerve
wants,
would be Darby turning on Sting.
which would be perfect.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but I don't see that happening.
yeah.
We didn't see Dom turn on Kurt on Ray, right? But guess what happened after a little while?
No,
Nah,
but we
there was
saw
teasers.
that coming from a mile away.
Hey man,
There
look,
was
she
teasers
was
of it
all
though.
nice and good beforehand, and boom,
There was teasers of it though. There's been no teasers with Darby turning on Sting, so there's a
that's
big
his
difference there.
kid. Darby is a child of Sting.
Yeah. But kudos to the Young Bucks. I feel like this new character change, it's going to work beautifully for them. Um, so I'm definitely here for it. Again, I said it a bunch of times. The heel Bucks are better than the face Bucks. Face Bucks is kind of stale and whatnot. The heel Bucks, they're ironically they're best for for business, right? So yeah, I'm looking forward to see this storyline. But yeah, I'm kind of a little bummed out because I did want to see that Sting versus Darby just to be the final match at Revolution. But yeah, that's happening. On major, so we're gonna go on some major free agents news. So Okada is leaving a New Japan Pro Wrestling. He will become a free agent at the end of January. Now, again, there's a lot of speculation that the favorites to land Okada is AEW because of their previous work relationships. Not only that, Okada has a lot of friends in AEW with the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, soon to be Will Ospreay. So he has a lot of connections there. However, you can't really count out WWE because it's been reported that Okada really wants to work WrestleMania. So listen, I'm not opposed to Okada showing up at WrestleMania,
Not at
but
all.
again, AEW our favorite because AEW can offer one thing, and that's um, if Okada decides to live in Japan while working in AEW, then AEW will grant that wish. But as opposed to WWE, where they prefer Okada to be in the states. Now, I think ultimately he lands on AEW, but um, a little part of me wants him to join WWE just because of the challengers that awaits him in WWE. We kind of like
I
seen
think
him.
I think there are more dream matches you could have with Okada in W than AEW. I think
Listen,
AEW is an easier fit,
yeah,
but if you want to have like those pay per view matches, you could knock down 7 straight possible 5-star matches with Okada in WWE alone at pay per views.
oh, of course, like
At least
if Okada were to go to WWE, and that's a big if, right? I would easily put him in a program with Gunther. Imagine Gunther and Okada for the IC Championship at WrestleMania. That would be
that's
I would that would be a 5-star match, right?
easily.
Or just a single match with Shinsuke Nakamura. Like there's a lot of possibilities out there, and um booking wise, I don't think he should be worried because ever since Triple H has taken over, you've seen the progression that Nakamura has taken, right? With his promos, with having more matches. You've
Right.
seen how he handles Io Sky, right? Her career through NXT and now on the main roster. Same
Which
thing
has been
goes with
steady.
Asuka, right? And I feel like Kerry Zane will be next too. So I just think that for me, a part of me wants him to end up with WWE, but I think ultimately he lands on AEW.
Yeah, I don't see a situation where he lands in WWE. Honestly, I think TNA and we know TNA and AEW have like a working relationship, so I could sort of see him going back and forth between there. I don't know. I mean, we know WWE is big time, so let's be honest with that. Um, what Triple H has been making a more push to include, like, make bigger notices of Japanese wrestling, and pushing different types of wrestlers, Spanish wrestlers, black wrestlers, just wrestlers from all over the world. We know he's been trying to really do that, and we know he's also been trying to get startup of NXT Europe. So there's also that as well. So I mean, we know Okada's been rumored to be leaving for years, but it actually happening now is a big shocker to me, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if he wants to do, look, I know he has close ties again to Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks, but seeing Okada at WrestleMania, I feel like that's big, you
Would be a
know.
gem.
And just seeing Okada in WWE in general, whether it's NXT, whether it's the main roster, I think that would be a huge win. Um, I'm just worried about if Okada does land in AEW, it's just the creative issues. I feel like creatively AEW has had so many inconsistencies as of late that it's like, look at Jay White, right? Jay White, I thought was going to be a main event. And yeah, he had a main event match against MJF and whatnot, but
Right.
it's kind of like been inconsistent. Yeah, okay, now he's the 6-man Ring of Honor Tag Team Champion, but you don't picture Jay White being
That wasn't a plan. When he
yeah,
got into this.
that absolutely wasn't the plan. I mean, but I don't know. The
Right.
plan for me was all right. Jay White, he's definitely going to be AEW World Champions
Right.
someday, right?
Right.
That didn't happen. So now, how do you go from being in the main event for the AEW World Champion
And now you're working a mid
to
card.
yeah?
It's tough.
Um, so I mean that's kind of like where I get there. So I mean, listen, with Okada being WWE, I just see it as the way Shinsuke Nakamura is doing it right now in WWE, where you know under Vince, Shinsuke Nakamura, it was inconsistent, right? But now with Triple H, okay, yes, he hasn't uh won like a big match, right? But
Uh-huh.
in terms of progression,
He's feuded with the major players though.
right. In terms of progression, in terms of promos and feuds, it's kind of trending upwards, right? And I'm liking this new look Nakamura. So that's kind of like how I see with Okada, and I feel like in WWE he'll be good hand. He'll be in good hands under Triple H or Shawn Michaels.
Right.
Either way,
Either or.
whichever way he wants to go about it, he can definitely do it. It's just a matter of if
The
he
only
wants to
way,
be
only
stateside.
way I see him going to WWE is if he goes to WWE NXT. If he goes to NXT and somehow they start the NXT Europe and he's the big money maker for NXT Europe.
Yeah.
Only way I see him going.
Next on the free agents update would be Mercedes Monet. I mean, we haven't heard much. Latest reports have her going to AEW.
Which is still
Uh,
very likely. It makes a lot of sense.
yeah,
If she goes either way, it makes both sense.
I don't think AEW is a good move for her, but I mean, if the money's calling and that's not
okay.
good.
And I'm with you. And I'm not saying, listen, I'm not saying, um, I don't want people to think, oh yeah, he's pro WWE. Oh, he's pro. No, in terms of making this make
You're just a
sense,
pro.
no, in making them make sense, it makes sense for her to go back to WWE.
It
I
does.
feel like in AEW, it's just again with the women's division, it's been too inconsistent.
And the problem is she's going to get lost in the shuffle. That's number one. Number
And
two, they'll push her for a bit, and then they won't know what to do with her, and toss her in some random bullshit feud or bullshit faction, and just call it something or whatever, and move on. Like we really
if
don't.
if she were to go to WWE, they have already a storyline in place for her, right? Which
Yes.
would
Right.
be, let's say, Damage Control kicks out Bailey, right? Bailey's
Here
going
comes
to need
Sasha.
backup. In comes Sasha Banks, right? So we
Bianca
don't know.
Belair,
We don't
Becky
know.
Lynch.
Don't forget,
You have a lot of
and
options to work with.
don't forget. Yes, it does make sense for the Damage Control versus Bailey storyline. We also forgot to mention another name that's rumored to be coming back to WWE, which was Trinity.
Yeah,
So I mean, you think about you got Trinity, um, Sasha Banks, or she's going to be called herself Mercedes Monet, or she does the hybrid Sasha Monet, and then Bailey versus Damage Control. Now you're talking about even in the odds a little bit.
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, Trinity is set to return to WWE. That's a given, and most likely she'll return at the Rumble, right?
Right. And just to
It
add a comment from Instagram, I asked
yeah.
everybody on Instagram real quick before we go back to Trinity. Okada and WWE, AEW, or TNA thoughts. Megastars HS said AEW is overloaded right now, which I 100% agree. And Okada will go to TNA. I think TNA is one of the sleeper names to look out for
Oh
when it
yeah,
comes to a lot of people now.
oh
So
yeah. Okada in TNA would be a good fit. It would be a
correct,
great fit, to be honest with you, because
correct.
I
He can
think
still do his.
that
She can still travel, and they still have the relationship. And he can go to AAA too,
yeah,
as well.
I like that option. Um, going back to this, like Trinity's definitely returning at the Rumble.
Right.
That's a given. In terms of Mercedes Monet, there's been a lot of question marks because a lot of WWE, a lot within WWE think that she's heading towards, like, she might make an appearance at the Rumble, right?
Hmm.
But that's a whole question mark. I mean, right now, currently, she's wrapping up some acting projects, and then supposedly, according to the latest reports, is that she will sign to AEW and start sometime in February. But again, we just haven't heard much, so it's like, I don't know, and we
If she
know that WWE.
if she didn't sign on the dotted line, she ain't signed.
Exactly, right? WWE did have talks with Mercedes Monet not too long ago. Negotiations fell through, and that's where kind of AEW worked their way into the negotiations with Mercedes Monet, and are currently the favorites. But in terms of where she will land up, we
Either
don't know.
spot she goes to will be good for her. Let's see if it
I, do,
pans out at
I don't
AEW
think
or WWE.
I don't think AEW would be a good fit, but I'll say why in a second, and then we'll move on to what's next as well.
And she wants to get paid too, so she gets paid and she gets paid. Good for her.
Yeah, yeah, no, no. If she gets paid, listen, go where the money goes.
Exactly.
But
Right, but
She's done it all everywhere she's been in her short career. She's done it all.
is
yeah,
she gonna be?
Right.
The question is the money. Yeah, she got the money, but is she gonna be happy and eventually want out of the contract?
exactly. When it comes to like happiness, storyline purposes, and stuff like that, that's where you have to consider WWE. Hell, you can even consider TNA, because look what
That's another
Trinity
option.
has done in TNA. Like, she killed it
Right, and
for a
then
year.
the only reason why I just say AEW wouldn't be a good fit, and I like AEW because they have a lot of promising talent there. They got to push and utilize them, and all wrestling promotions need that. But
Yeah.
the reason why I say that is because what Soto touched on earlier, the women's booking is inconsistent. Number one, number two, it's a little oversaturated with a lot of different things going on. But number three is just look at how they pushed a lot of their recent acquisitions they haven't gotten. So Tony Storm, yes, she has a fantastic gimmick now. She's doing well. But before that, she was up and down champion, in between face and heel. Saraya, they booked her for a short reign, and you haven't heard shit from her. Um, you know, right now you talk about one of the people that started in your company, Britt Baker. What have they done with her? Um,
Britt Baker kind of took a step back,
right,
and
but
she chose that. But again, like, they're
inconsistency.
booking, exactly. They're booking now. Their booking of Tony Storm has been incredible, so I'll
Yes,
give them props for that.
recently though, before
Recently,
hell
right,
no.
right. But throughout the year, it's just been all over the place.
And then you got who
Um.
else? Who else we got in the women's division just there? But like that's just something
Oh, I'm
Mercedes
sorry.
really has to.
And
Mercedes has to
and
fix.
their booking of Julie Hart has been
Also,
great.
yes, and then well, yeah,
I'll
that's
give them
true.
that.
But then you also remember you just got Deanna Perrazzo, so their women's division is getting a little crowded too. So realistically,
And you got Thunder Rosa back, so it's
yeah,
like
Thunder Rosa.
it's real crowded.
Don't
You have
forget,
a lot of options on both sides.
you
You
also
have
have
matches to go for a long. You have feuds and programs you run for Sasha Banks for a long time. It
yeah,
just depends on if she wants
Ty
to go there.
Valkyrie. Don't forget
WWE.
a lot of people.
Vince is gone, so she's happier. She can be with everybody she grew up with. That works as well. At the same time, you can go and it's just gonna flop. But if she's happy, she's happy. If the money's there, the money's there. It all depends what she wants to do at the end of the day. Both spots are great. If she goes to TNA, it's like, all right, now she's in a new spot. Where she might be the number one option there, not just in the women's division, but just in general, right?
They're not letting
She has
her.
a chance to
If
go
she
down
goes
to
to
TNA
TNA,
and be
there's
the
no
number
way.
one working wrestler on the roster, the number one breadwinner there. Like, let's put that in consideration as well. So you don't know. It's just all she's about money, right? She's the,
She's gonna go where
wait.
Naomi goes. I'm gonna throw it out there with Trinity, aka Naomi. She's gonna go with where she goes. I think that's if she goes back
They
to
could go
WWE.
because they're in good terms together. If Trini goes to AEW for her sake. Good for her. She has a lot of great matches to be used with. Whereas she goes to WWE, same she goes back home.
Yeah.
She does some really well.
Continuing on the free agent, the last free agent, PW Insider, well, is telling us that since Camille has left, former women's NWA women's champion Camille leaving
Longest reigning champion too.
right, leaving NWA. WWE sources have confirmed that an NXT deal was offered to the former champion. So that it remains to be seen if she accepts it or not. It's expected that she ends up there, but at the same time, she was backstage um, throughout last week's this past
Yeah,
episode of AEW Dynamite. So who
but
knows if
she said she was visiting friends though.
right, she was visiting friends, but
That's what they all say.
who knows if hey, come here for 10
Hey, you want to
minutes,
wrestle? Hey, you fucking suck. Come wrestle me next month at the pay-per-view. Whatever the case may be.
Right.
So who knows where she ends up, but the expected landing spot for Camille would be WWE in an NXT deal. Let's talk about the return of TNA.
And she's a powerhouse too, so that would be another powerhouse added to
Total nonstop action is back, baby.
Yeah,
it's
man.
It's time for a new regime to start leading the way.
The old logo. The only thing that's missing is the 6-sided ring. That's all I want.
They said that they were thinking that was in consideration, but it's very hard and taxing on the body, so they decided
And
against
Soto,
it.
by the way, we're missing one other person to be involved in TNA. Well, two of them. One we'll talk about at some point, Perk Angle, and the other one, New Jack. You know what I'm saying? Bring back the originals.
New Jack. Jesus Christ.
But TNA is back. You can kind of tell the morale has completely shifted in
You can tell by the crowd
in TNA.
look at
And
the
I'm
crowd
excited
they get
too.
now.
I'm excited ever since Scott D'Amore kind of took charge or leadership of TNA. You've seen all these positive changes, and also signings too. They signed the Grizzled Young Veterans, which is great for their tag team division.
Right.
Top Dollar. I'm not even going to go into Top Dollar.
That's your boy.
I'm not even going to go into
Bar for bar. Big man.
Ash by Elegance, formerly known Dana Brooke.
She does not look the same what she once was. It's crazy. She's got so many changes.
That name has to be changed because I
Call
don't know
Ash.
what the
Ash
hell they were
works.
thinking.
The reason why she picked that name, they said, is because it's her real name, part of her real name.
Ashby Elegance.
Well, Ashley is her first
Shout out
name.
to Ash.
And then Nick Nemeth,
the
formerly
most
known
underappreciated wrestler in the past 10 years of
Facts.
WWE. Shout out to Dolph Ziggler finally get a chance to be the man.
Exactly, and that's what's most important. He gets to be the man in TNA. Automatically, just plug him into the main event scene, which is great. Well deserving,
Right.
The amount
Don't
of
care what nobody says. His Survivor Series match was the greatest match he ever put out, and he got no respect for it.
And you know what? I absolutely love the new championships.
They look good.
It's been great.
I just want to add a comment that somebody said about the Camille signing from Instagram that I thought was fucking hilarious. I just read it now. Somebody said that WWE would change Camille's name to Millie the Brick Outer House Maker.
That's crazy.
So
That's wild.
Shout out to them for that name. Shout out to Denver Fracture for that. I mean, hey, WWE does be having some wild names, so I'm gonna throw that out there. We know this from experience. So
yes, but at the same time, like over time, like we've gotten used to it. Like, listen, Gunther was once Walter, right? And
Who the fuck is Walter?
a
Now
lot of
Gunther
people
matches better.
had a lot of criticism with that Gunther name, but it's kind of like, all right, we kind of live with it and we kind of like accepted it in a way, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, going back to TNA, like, listen, man, I'm really excited with this new leadership, this new direction.
Right.
This conversation will be even more better in about a month once you see how things once they start lining stuff up.
Absolutely.
Now you look back from this conversation now to a month from now, like March 1st, and it's like, wow, like this is a great hot start.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just hope, to be honest with you, TNA used to do shows in the Hammerstein ballroom in
Yeah.
Manhattan Center.
We went to one
I
years ago.
hope they go. You remember where we went,
Yep.
Henry?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember. I remember.
Yes.
Yeah, that was great. I do
I hope
remember.
they like. I really hope that they go back there sometime. I'll definitely go.
And we had fantastic seats too. It wasn't like
Yeah,
we were
we
like
had
all the way up
no,
top.
we
I
had
remember
like
we had like
ringside. We had
yeah,
ringside
yeah,
by the entrance, right? And you could kind of see us. When was it? One of the matches that I remember? It was like a triple threat match. It
You're
was a
gonna put a
ladder
clip on
match,
YouTube, aren't you?
huh?
Find the clip, put it up. The
All right,
last time we
I
reviewed
will.
the
It
superstars.
was a triple threat match, right?
yes.
It was the Hardys versus Team 3D versus the Wolves in a ladder
Oh,
match.
and that's when they put Dixie Carter through the table.
Yeah, it was great. It was great.
The pop that got that in that place was bar none. Like when Dixie went through the table.
Yeah. So yeah, shout out to TNA.
Everybody was
And-
shouting "Holy shit!" and they had to censor it on TV because at that time they couldn't say shit on TV. So they were like,
right.
"Holy shit!" It was just like I was like, "Oh, it was so great to hear live though."
And those who enjoy wrestling, our very last topic would be the Dark Side of the Ring returns this year for season 5, and some of the topics, for episodes that are coming out are or feature Brutus Beefcake, Harley Race, Buff Bagwell, Kurt Angle.
Perk Angle. That's Kurt Angle. Talk about Perk Angle. All right, let's get. Now I don't mean to slander Kurt because Kurt is probably probably top 10 all time. But let's go ahead. Can we all agree?
I say he's actually one of the
Perk
nicest
Angle,
guys too.
Perk Angle was the best Kurt we've ever seen.
Yo, Perk Angle was top 5.
Thank you. That's all I gotta say. So when I heard the news when this came out, someone said some random guy came. It was on some forum. He was like, "Who was better, Shawn Michaels on coke during the early '90s or Perk Angle?" Someone said, "Put." They said Perk Angle would throw Shawn Michaels through windows and walls if it means for a Perk 30 before every match. I was like, "Yo, you gotta relax. You gotta relax."
Yeah, so Kurt Angle, Chris Adams, the Sandman, and Black Saturday, which is when Vince McMahon purchased Georgia Championship Wrestling. So
So I'm interested to see that because that was the beginning of WWF, now WWE's elite run when it came to just controlling becoming a monopoly. But also, it's like, what actually went down?
They still are technically a monopoly, so it amazes to see.
To be honest with you, out of all the topics, Kurt Angle is probably number one in the list. But the one that I really, really want to see though was Buff Bagwell.
There's a big story behind all that. So the
Buff
fact
Bagwell has a lot.
And the fact if it wasn't for the bankruptcy of Vice, right? Because Vice went bankrupt, unfortunately. But the fact that you had a huge chance as a wrestling company to go out and speak your mind, and everybody was cool with it except for WWE for the longest time. That's why you see those guys that were doing it. They weren't signed, right? They wouldn't allow the actual talents to actually go speak on certain things, especially when they had the plane back from Germany. The Flight of Doom.
Oh yeah.
When they say Ric Flair said doing the helicopter with his dick and whatnot on the flashing
and how Brock Lesnar almost like
Brock Lesnar almost destroying the plane from the outside in. Like, there's a whole lot going on.
What was it that was the airplane ride from hell episode?
Yeah.
Plane ride from hell, coming back from Germany.
Ride from hell, yep.
Yeah,
so I think all that was going on and nobody heard what happened until like 5-6 years later. When the cases came out.
Yo, but you know what's crazy though? There were like two fights in that one
The
And
plane
it,
itself?
it wasn't like commercial flight. It was a giant 747. The fact that they said that plane almost imploded from the inside out because of the fights that were going on, because of the drinking.
Yeah, no,
the fucking,
because
snorting
Brock,
drugs,
like, I think Brock picked up Mr. Perfect and
Yeah.
slammed him into the emergency door.
yeah, and the thing cracked. They were like, "Whoa, what are you doing? What are
Yeah.
you doing?"
It goes to show you though that Mr. Perfect was really a beast because they said he went toe to toe with Brock Lesnar like it was nothing. They said.
And beat the fuck out of him. That was the one time that he said that actually was like Brock actually looked like he needed like medical help. It was that bad. But you have these stories that come out that's what makes wrestling so great. There's so much shit behind everything. You learn the good, the bad, and the ugly. You learn the great, the bad, and ugly in between. Like even the Chris Benoit episode. There's a lot of stuff that came up like, So Chris Benoit did what he did, but did he actually do it though? And then it gave you a great breakdown on it. Now the facts are the facts, right? We don't know what happened, but it gives you things to pull about. Like, wow, like was this actually Chris Benoit doing it?
Yeah.
Or was it something else? The New Jack story.
Was
he really that bad of a person, or was he just a psychopath that was done wrong? And it's like,
I'll say this: eventually, we'll get a Vince story on Dark Side of the Ring.
Oh, 100%.
Now that Vince is involved with
yeah,
the man from the business, he's a quote unquote free agent. Yeah, imagine having a story of Vince McMahon on that.
And
not the ESPN one.
Netflix is doing
out, not
Netflix
the
is doing
NBC one that's coming out, but an actual like a third party.
No, Netflix is doing one.
Netflix has one. Okay.
Vince McMahon has no say in it. And somebody commented on all the name changes and everything for Vince. It said Vince equals the Antichrist of pro wrestling. Jesus Christ.
He did become Satan, but you know what? For all the shit that he did, let's give credit to Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon, there would be no wrestling without Vince McMahon.
Yeah, facts.
Yeah,
so for all the good and bad there was, we give credit when credit is due.
Yep.
But if they put on a Vince episode, that shit would go crazy. It would break the internet.
Yeah.
And shout out to Dark Side of the Ring. And those people who are involved with that, both wrestlers and non-wrestlers and personnel, like the Jim Cornette episode, where Jim Cornette we actually finally got to hear the real side of how Jim Cornette feels about
it's just all those guys, learning the different sides from many different points of views. Like, it's cool.
Yeah, it's just genuine fun. I personally am a big fan of it. Every tidbit because you learn what things aren't supposed to be. So it's great.
Right.
So that being said, that'll do it for us in today's episode of the Sunset Flip Wrestling Podcast. We appreciate you guys tuning in week in and week out. If y'all need all the information about where to follow us, you see the link on the bottom. Hit that link tree. Whatever the case may be, everything's right there for you. As you can see, for those who don't see it, linktree.ee / Sunset Flip Wrestling Pod. Everything you need is right there for you. Click and watch, click and view, whatever the case may be. You're good to go. Shout out to YouTube. Shout out to Twitch. Shout out to Apple and Spotify podcasts. Shout out to Threads. Soto and Henry call it X. I call it Twitter. We can shout out to TikTok, Facebook. Hit up on our Discord. If you want information on Discord, hit us up. We'll send you guys the link. You'll turn on all social media feeds. Shit, even email us if you guys feel all very professional and whatnot. Right. For those that want to get involved in the podcast,
or for those who want to collab with us.
For those who want to collab, ooh, I like that. We are open for business to talk about any conversation you want to do, except who's better, Cokehead, Shawn Michaels, or Perk Angle. We
got to figure out. We actually had, for those who who are just started tuning in or just been following us, we had Lisa Marie Varon, known as Victoria, and Tara and DNA on. We're looking at getting another guest at some point this year as well, so tune in for that as well.
News coming soon. You will tune in to find out. You guys want to go out there and collab with us, or just want to start your own podcast? The brand formerly known as Anchor and now called as Podcasters app. They collab with Spotify. All you need is your email, and that's all you really fucking need. And you can start your own podcast as well if you want to start your own video collections and whatnot. You can do the same thing with StreamYard and or Zoom with a small nominal fee and your email. It's an easy startup, and you can start just like we are. So that being said, fellas, I gotta go. I gotta fold some clothes, and then I gotta go ahead and go to my game. So let's go Knicks. Let's go Lions tomorrow. And
we
yes,
go
sir.
out.
Thank everybody for tuning in. Instagram, everywhere. We appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Till next time, guys.